What is up guys, is Keds back here with part 2 of the dribbling tutorial. So if you haven't watched part 1, if you aren't comfortable with the fundamentals like being able to ball carry and catching the ball and bounce dribbling and push dribbling, then be sure that you check out part number 1 to kind of bring you a bit more up to speed, and then come back to part 2 when you're like more comfortable with those concepts, because this video isn't really too helpful unless you have the basic fundamental control over your car. So this video is about what to do with your dribbling. So it's all well and good that you're able to keep the ball on top of your car for as long as you wish at this point, but how does that help you in a game? Well, that in itself doesn't. You need to know what to do with it. So if we go in the same order as the last episode, you have got the push dribble. So the push dribble, I said your two options were a Powerslide Cut like this, or you can do a hook shot, which looks something along the lines of that. They are very similar, which is why I grouped them together, because a Powerslide Cut, you just push the ball, and then when the defender's about to challenge you, you just power slide and cut into the ball and change its direction and hit it around them. Now the way you practice this is just hit the ball and keep just power sliding into it, like just try and just time it so you just keep getting a good direction change. Obviously it won't happen all the time, like I'm not one that really utilizes the Powerslide Cut as much as I should, but I've played against people, namely Eclipse, who can Powerslide Cut so well that they make me look like I have literally just got Rocket League and that I'm playing keyboard mouse. Like, if you can Powerslide Cut well, you can make people look so silly. So a Powerslide Cut, the basics, you need to know when to Powerslide and when to boost, when to let go of throttle as well, and this kind of just comes with practice. A good drill for this is just going around the ball and then power sliding back and try and face the ball. It's a very simple drill, but it is also very effective. And then once you're comfortable with that, you can learn how to Powerslide Cut. A hook shot is basically just more powerful. Just get the ball rolling, you go around it, and then you just shoot. Now this is good at the low ranks especially, because defenders, when they see the ball going towards their net, especially if it's in the air, are going to panic. So this obviously like makes them panic, but your recovery is really good, because if you do a hook shot, your car is virtually in the same position after you've hit the ball as like your point of contact with the ball, which means you literally don't really have any recovery at all, which is a good thing. It's by far the safest thing to do in that respect. So if you're solely trying to rank up from the lower ranks, then hook shotting is definitely a viable option, because in my experience people just panic when you hit the ball very hard at their net. And then into bounce dribbling, where it's kind of an extension on this. You can bounce it and then power shot. That's pretty much a hook shot, just incorporating bounces. So only try this once you're a bit more comfortable with hook shotting. But what you do is, as the ball bounces, you make sure that you hit the ball as it's coming up and you flip through it. I'll slow that down for you as well in a little replay, just so you guys can really see like where I'm trying to get to the ball. Because obviously if you hit the ball when it's on its way down, you're going to get significantly less power. Obviously that's still powerful because I air rolled and I've got a lot of hours in this game, so I can get power on a lot of shots, but the easiest ones to get power from are when it's on a half volley, because the ball already has momentum going upwards, whereas if you hit it when it's coming down, some of its momentum going down is going to impact your car. So that is just something to bear in mind. Another thing that you can keep in mind about these two types of dribbles, and the next one as well, is you can incorporate faking. Like, you can just fake a shot. So what you do to fake is you get the ball in a position to shoot and then you just don't. and then you kind of just hope that the defender goes straight past you. Now, That's a lot more than a lot of people think. A lot of people, even still like Champ, they kind of just wiggle next to the ball like this, and it's not really as convincing as that. And also another thing about faking, if the ball's already rolling on target, then you're not going to fake them because the ball's already going in, it's already a threat. But if the ball's run off target and you're about to hit it and you fake it, the threat to them is you hitting the ball. So they're going to not think about the fact that you might not hit the ball. They're just going to block where the ball's probably going to end up, which is why fakes work. And also another thing is general practice for dribbling anyway. I mentioned it at the end of the video. You want to have the ball rolling away from the goal when you shoot, because it is a lot easier to generate power on a dribble when you can like go into it than if you're dribbling towards the net and then trying to like generate power that way. And now going into the final type of dribble, there's a lot of options that you can do with this, but it is by far the most complex one to pull off. So when you ball carry, you have a lot of options, because obviously with a bounce dribble, your opportunity to hit the ball with power is limited because you've got to wait for the ball to hit the ground. Whereas when you're ball carrying, because the ball's on your car, you can do what you want at any given moment. Now, a rule of thumb, when you're dribbling, you know that a flick should work and you're matching the speed of the ball when you don't see sparks, right? If you see sparks, you and the ball are going at different speeds. So the ideal time to flick is like now. See how there's no sparks. So what you do, the basics of a flick, is you just front flip into the ball. That is the most basic flick there is. But you can flick in any direction. So if you front flip, notice how you can flip in different directions. There's forward diagonals, there's sideways, there's backward diagonals, and then there's backwards. You can flip in any direction, which means you can flick in any direction. But there's a bit of a catch. People seem to think if you backflip, the ball's going to go really far backwards. It does sometimes, but you know, a lot of the time it just goes straight up just because of how momentum works. But I wouldn't really recommend using backflip flicks too much anyway. The reason being is because the only time I really find a backflip flick useful is when a defender's coming and it's your only option to just get the ball clean over them. That's the only time I ever use it, because it doesn't really generate a lot of forward momentum and it's quite easy to just miss the ball. So they're quite bad of a choice of flick. If you want to get a lot of height really easily, I recommend side flip flicks. They generate quite a lot of power for what they are, like so. And then if you want a bit less height, then I recommend forward diagonals. Obviously there are other things that you can do. Obviously I don't flick only using these methods, but for the basics, especially up to like platinum diamonds, like that's kind of all you need to know for flicks. And then getting slightly more advanced with flicking the ball is you've got the 180 flick and the 90 flick. Now what these are is, if I could get the ball on top of my car, that would be lovely. A 90 flick is where you turn 90 degrees and you flip through the ball, giving a 90-degree turn in your car, hence the 90 name. If you don't know what I'm doing, what you kind of do, you need to be a bit more familiar with half flipping, which is why I say you don't really need to know it too like early on. You basically turn and then you backflip or side flip even, and half and cancel your flip. If you watch my controller overlay, you cancel your flip to the like forwards, and then it should just make your car point forwards and give you all the power you want. And it's the same concept with a 180 degree flick, except instead of turning 90 degrees, you turn 180 degrees. And this I find is the best flick shooting wise for me. Obviously person to person it's different. These two are kind of my go-to when it comes to shooting, because you can generate a lot of power on them. Purely because you're getting all the way around the ball. If you think about my point of contact, all my force is going horizontally through the ball, whereas these, a lot of my force is going upwards through the ball. But they're a lot more advanced, and obviously at the low ranks, the basic flicks do still work a treat. And in a stressful situation, my all reliable is a front flip or a side flip or along those lines. The other ones are kind of advanced flicks when you are shooting and you want to get a lot of power. And then other things you can do with the ball carry is you can do a variety of different things when you shoot. The notable one that is used a lot in like high level 1v1 is the air dribble bump, like that, where you have the ball on your car and you pop it up and then you get in front of the ball and then you try and bump the defender as they come. And yeah, as long as your original pop is on target, it will just go in like that. That's the whole idea of it. But obviously, a high level strategy only, I wouldn't recommend knowing how to air dribble bump anywhere below champ. Same thing with a ground to air dribble. It's cool to know, but for ranking up, it's not necessary. But for this, it's the same as an air dribble bump, except you're actually trying to hit the ball afterwards. And then you can also do more fancy flicks and stuff. You can do things like the musty flick. Like that one, that was definitely my first attempt. I promise you that was my first attempt. So you can do musty flicks like that, but I hate to break it to you guys in Platinum, but knowing how to musty flick isn't going to get you out of your rank, because it's just not too efficient. It's more for showboating, to be honest, which is why I'm not really going to go into depth about how to do it, because it's kind of just like, it's an option, but it's not strictly going to make you improve. You can also do turtle flicks like that. It's kind of, they're good if your opponent's just not expecting it and you want to style on them, but it's not the most consistent thing in the world. It's quite hard to get a threatening shot out of it. So again, I won't go into depth about how to do those. You can also do a breezy flick, which is like that kind of motion as well. Again, I'm not going to go too into it. But you can also, if you want to make an absolute mess of your opponent, like I've done to H on the last montage, is what you can do when you're carrying the ball is just drop the ball, and then sometimes your opponent will just jump straight over you at the high ranks, which can be quite amusing to watch. But yeah, I hope you guys found this tutorial somewhat useful. I will leave a quick showing of a way to help get good power on the ball as a bit of a tip. It's Steam only, but same kind of concept applies for console. If you're on console, just hit the ball as hard as you can at any wall that you want, and the ball will bounce off it, and then you wait for it to bounce, and then you go again. That is one way of doing it, but on PC there is a training pack workshop map, which I really recommend. I will showcase on screen. I'm pretty sure if you just type into workshop aim trainer, you'll find it. But yeah, it is really cool, and it just helps with getting accurate, strong touches. But yeah, that is about it for this video. If you enjoyed and found it useful, please feel free to let me know, because it is much appreciated hearing what you guys have to say about the tutorial videos. And also feel free to leave a like if you have found it useful. And I probably said that twice, but you know, sick YouTuber, right? And feel free to subscribe if you never want to miss out on another tutorial video. I do stream every day on Twitch as well. Well, every day, lol, joke. Almost every day. I try to, at least. And then yeah, please leave a comment if you have any feedback for me, and for now I will see you guys in part 3 of the dribbling tutorial.